Dan!
Frank!
Guess what?
I know what.
Oh, no.
It's our 10-year anniversary coming up.
Just over a month from now, November 13th is the day that we've picked. We've designated that as a day we'd like to get together.
We're having a get-together. We're having a gathering, a meetup. We haven't had one for a long time.
Oh, COVID.
It's been COVID. We can't do it. So
At least that's our excuse.
mark your calendars. If you can make it, get here from far and wide.
Yeah.
Last time we've had people come from all across the country to come to these things.
Yeah.
We're not paying your way, but get here November 13th. We're going to have events during the day. We'll have a big
thing in the evening.
It's
a Saturday.
Details
We
to
can
come. But mark your calendars now and try to get out. November 13th. Let's do a show.
Everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah.
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
The podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, being a prophet just ain't what it used to be.
Oh, my God.
Oh.
Especially a Mormon prophet.
Oh. They just get no respect.
Back in the day, if you were the Mormon prophet and if you want a standing army, you just say, hey, you guys, you're all a standing army now.
And people stood.
And
armed
they
themselves.
stand. Now, it's still no problem getting Mormons to arm themselves.
Ugh.
But will they go in the direction that their prophet points? That's the big question right now. And we're going to answer it.
Signs are saying...
The magic 8-ball is saying...
no.
It's not...
8-ball says no.
It's not looking great.
Oh, it's not looking great. Sure enough. All right. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
I want to take us first today over to India.
Oh, yes.
Specifically.
The Emerald Isle, if you would.
Specifically Kerala. Really?
No, I'm just I like that instead of like refuting it, you just looked at me quizzically.
I was like, what is
I don't think that's right.
I'm tired. Anyway, where the High Court in Kerala
Kerala is the majority Christian part of India,
which is important, and thank you, because that'll help make this make a little bit more sense.
Yeah,
which is the court has pronounced a verdict that now requires that nuns and priests pay income tax. Because they used to not have to not even their income tax, which like here they like.
I don't think. Do they?
Oh yeah,
do they?
Oh yeah, they get all sorts of like goodies. You know, they get their housing paid for. Right. If the church, like in the United States, the rectory is like church housing, and they don't have to be compensated for that. And there's all sorts of like amazing tax deductions.
Right.
And effectively, they may not pay income tax, but they have to file their taxes.
Okay.
They're subject to income tax and withholdings and all of that stuff. Well, in India, in Kerala, that had not been the case.
They were getting away with murder.
They were getting away with not paying any kind of income tax.
Wow.
And this was based on sort of a couple different like precedents and decisions that have been made by the Central Board of Direct Taxes.
Oh,
going back to 1944.
Oh,
where that it's sort of this tradition comes out of, and the court was just like, wait, what? Are you guys out of your minds? Because apparently there's this idea in India that once a perpetual vow of poverty is taken, the nun or priest undergoes a civil death.
Oh my God.
And thereafter are not persons under many different statutes and laws, right?
I mean, if that's what, if it means you don't pay taxes, kill me off, baby. I'm ready to die for that. You know, I'll be a non-personed person.
Yeah. But the court says that, wait a second, while that does exist as a concept, the law itself has to specifically trigger that. The law has to be like whatever the law is applying was specifically saying, they have to say, oh yeah, and there's, civil death is somehow worked into this law, right? Otherwise, they have to, such as the tax laws, which mentions nothing about civil death, this is a new concept for me.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just kind of blown away by it. But as they point out, nuns and priests are part of society. They can walk freely, speak freely, and even indulge in most of the regular activities unrestricted like any other individual.
Right.
They act as managers of educational institutions, hospitals, and other establishments. They enter into contracts for manifold purposes. In all of these spheres, they act like any other living human. And so, yeah.
And they use all the stuff that taxes pay for.
Absolutely. This literally was just a handout to priests and nuns.
Was there any mention of like if Hindu priests have to pay taxes or?
Now it doesn't really get into that. It doesn't get into like other parts of India and other religions.
Interesting.
But specifically in Kerala, where, like you said, Christianity is number one.
Yes, indeed.
This had been an ongoing thing.
Interesting. Well, there you go. From India, I'll take us to another exotic locale, Tennessee.
It is exotic.
It is where Governor Bill Lee. Listen, Tennessee has not been doing great with the whole COVID thing. You'll be shocked to learn that Tennessee has they have the worst record for COVID currently. The worst per capita infection rate currently in the country.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow. Tennessee.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. But fear not, for Governor Lee has a plan.
Okay.
You'll never guess what it is, but it's going to work for sure. It only takes a day.
Oh.
And that day will be October the 11th, when everyone will fast and pray.
Oh, God. Oh, this is why they have the highest rate.
Well,
because
our ding-dong governor did the same shit.
No, he did, but he did. That is correct.
So,
I'm not going to make excuses for Spencer Cox. I was about to.
No.
I don't know why I had that knee-jerk reaction.
No, but ours is fine. Theirs is an idiot. Yeah. It's especially worrying when things are at their absolute worst and this is what they pull out. Like if things are just getting bad and they whip this out as just sort of as an obvious political ploy to get Christians on their side or whatever. Okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But when things are really, really bad, you got to take, real action. But apparently, this is what counts for real action in the fine, fine state of Tennessee.
Oh, God.
This is not the first time he has called for prayers and fasting, even this year. But don't worry. The fact that it didn't work those other times doesn't mean that it won't work this time.
Well, that's the trick, right? You just keep trying until...
You'll figure it out.
I mean, eventually, the pandemic is going to end. All pandemics end. I bet this little fasting and prayer will have a small part in that end.
Well,
you think,
I feel like if all of Tennessee prays really, really hard, the Lord will look down upon them and do... You're claiming that he'll do a little bit. Is that what your claim is?
I'm saying that the course of history might play out exactly the same as it would have, but it will make you feel good.
It'll make them feel good.
They'll feel so good.
They'll be like, remember the time we fasted and prayed, and then 15 months later it kind of went away.
That's a win.
That's a big
fast and prayer.
That's a big win. That's a solid win.
That's chalk that up. Christian win.
Well,
Christian won. Not praying 0.
0. Yeah.
Because it ended.
Duh, guys. Idiots.
Oh, Dan.
Yeah?
Oh, Dan.
Oh, don't sigh like that.
Oh, this story. It's one that y'all have heard this week. I guarantee you heard this about this story.
Oh, I know where you're going.
But it's also one of those that how it's so awful, and everybody's heard about it already.
But we have to talk about it.
But you have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is the story about France and and the Catholic Church in France specifically, and the independent investigation into sex abuse,
into whether or not allegedly there may have been a tiny bit of,
whether any happened at all.
Yeah,
apparently.
who knows?
It's possible.
It
we
could
have to
go-
enter this. All the investigators had to enter it with an open mind.
It could go either way.
Yeah.
You never can tell.
It was a panel of 12, or I'm not 12, 22, evenly split men and women, evenly split secular and Catholic.
Okay.
And these were the investigators.
And they were looking into whether or not there might have been abuse within the Catholic Church.
I think, okay, yeah.
Whether or not maybe there's an off chance that Catholic priests
Maybe.
might have done some
Possibly.
sexual abuse. We've never heard of it before. It certainly hasn't happened. Shock us with what happened.
Well,
Frank.
the report has found that roughly 330,000 children
It's just you want to
were victims of sex abuse within the Catholic Church. Now, the number, let's not.
France is not that big. This isn't the U.S.
Yeah, no, I know.
330,000 in the last, 30 years?
It was since the 50s.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
so 60 years or whatever, 70, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Some math number of years, but not even a century.
Right.
330,000.
Yeah,
Turns out they were prolific.
yeah, isn't that roughly the population of Iceland?
Isn't that roughly the population of France?
I know it's yeah, anyway. So there are numbers in this whole thing that are shocking, just as shocking as that. Now,
Yeah.
if you actually have to adjust the number down slightly if you are just looking at like priests and clerics
Okay.
abusing children.
Okay.
That number is 216,000 abusees.
Jesus.
The reason for that difference is the 330,000. That's just like
It includes people who
People
are
who are-
affiliated with the
Exactly.
church or associated with the church, and
Exactly.
the church.
acting.
And be clear, this report also talked about the church actively covering this up,
Absolutely.
letting it happen.
Mhm.
Like this was an active systemic program of cover up and allowing it.
Yeah. Here's a number for you, Dan.
Okay.
3,000.
Okay.
Okay. That references the number of total child abusers.
Wait, 3,000 abusers
3,000
did
abusers.
300 and something thousand abuses?
That is correct. Let that sink in. They were actively engaged, and
that
it's absurd.
that averages so I
So
need
that's a lot, but 2/3 of the 2,000 of the child abusers were priests,
right.
which means of the 216,000 who were priests, abused by priests per capita, right, abused 108 kids each over the course of their career.
That
right?
is
which is
I'm reeling.
well, I mean,
That is oh Lord Jesus. It's when you come to me and you say, "Hey, guess what? France found out that the Catholic Church was indeed sexually abusing kids."
Mhm.
I go, duh.
right.
That yes, you are correct.
Mhm.
It has long been the position of this podcast that if you have a diocese, you have an abuser.
Oh yeah, totally.
But for each of the abusers to have averaged
Mm-hmm.
over 100 victims.
Yeah, and you have to figure that some of them probably weren't as active as others.
Yeah.
Right. So some of these guys were They were out there perpetrating repeatedly. I mean, that's the wrong word.
It's just
constantly.
How do you like? That means that systems had to be in place not just to cover this up, but to enable it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've talked about that before on the show.
We have talked about it.
Where like systems that priests had, where like there was a special like
there were networks of priests that were sending messages to each other. Yeah. This one's already primed.
This one's groomed because that child was wearing like a specific crucifix or something along those lines.
And I'm so sorry for anyone who has been through this, and I don't think that we're being cavalier at all about the trauma of this. It is just astounding.
Truly, truly, truly shocking.
It's
the commission opened up a hotline at the beginning of their investigation. They received 6,500 calls from alleged victims or people who said they knew a victim.
Right.
But 6,500 calls came in to a number that most people probably never even knew existed.
Right.
Right. These are also people willing to step forward, which not a lot of people are.
Yeah, I mean,
super anxious to step forward with something.
I read a number of accounts of people who didn't feel like they could come forward because it would hurt their family or it would hurt. You know what I mean? Like there were so many people for whom, because I don't know if you know this, Frank, Catholic Church kind of important in France.
Oh, it's a big deal.
It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is going to, and it obviously has rocked France, and it's going to continue to ripple and around. And
I mean, what's going to happen is all of these other countries are going to have to do it. Italy's going to have to do one. Spain's going to have to do one. Like all of these Catholic countries better fucking start looking.
I don't know. I think.
You think it's probably isolated?
Probably a French problem.
It's probably just isolated to them. I don't see how this could have spread. It's just America and France, and that's basically it.
And then some random occurrences.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit here and there. If one of the priests got out of the U.S. or France, if one of them happened to leave.
I don't think that's the case.
All right, well, I'm going to take us to Nicaragua for a very strange story where Daniel Ortega, who is the despotic president of Nicaragua, or for those of you in the UK, that's Nicaragua.
Oh, right. That's true.
I picked this story half because I love how British people say that word.
Just fan.
And today on the BBC, a jaguar attack in Nicaragua. Y'all pronounce that shit funny. That's all I'm saying. Nicaragua, I don't know if you know this, but Daniel Ortega he's not the best guy. And Nicaragua's not doing great.
Oh.
They had uprisings back in like 2018. There was an uprising that was really just, hey, can we have, a real country, please? But of course, Ortega deemed it a terrorist attempt, and he called it a coup attempt, and said there was foreign backing, hinting about us, about the U.S., and so because it was like a pro-democracy sort of thing,
right?
You would think a president would be pro-democracy, but not when you're that brand of president. Matter of fact, our last president wasn't really that brand of president either. Anyway, there was a more recent pro-democracy plan that was submitted by, I don't know, submitted to whom? Who do you submit to? But the Nicaragua's Council of Bishops submitted this. It was not well received.
No?
Let's just say this. You know that things are really bad in a country when their council of Catholic bishops is more on my side than on the side. Ortega basically said, quote, the bishops, this was in a broadcast. He said, the bishops signed that in the name of the terrorists at the service of the Yankees.
Oh, geez.
These bishops are also terrorists. In any other country in the world, they would be on trial.
Wow, I don't know that that's true.
The man got me
other.
siding with the bishops. That's what I'm telling you he did. I'm not okay with that. I don't like it. There's a very real chance they'll all end up in prison. He is not afraid of jailing clergy.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, since 2018, in the clashes, 325 people died, and now more than 52,000 people have fled the country, according to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights.
Oh my God! Wow.
So yeah, there you go. It's fun. He did try back in the 80s to mend relations with the bishops by offering to enforce very strict anti-abortion laws. So that's cute. That's where they met eye to eye. But he's too far right for those guys. Ain't that fun?
Oh, golly.
I should say he's too far afield. I don't. That's not. At that point, it's no longer a right and left thing. It's a all the way off into the ether thing.
All right, Dan. I figured after my last story about a bunch of pedophile priests,
Yes.
that I would share a story of a priest not being a pedophile.
So real news then.
But still not getting it quite right.
Not good.
Yeah, a priest up in Michigan has gotten 60 days in jail for bubble wrapping a boy.
Oh my God. You didn't prep me. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for bubble wrap. Okay.
I mean, they wrote the headline. I didn't write the headline. It is child abuse.
What the hell? What the hell happened?
Light of it. Apparently, the boy was misbehaving or something. Something wasn't right, and the priest felt like he needed to be wrapped in bubble wrap and tape and put into a janitor's room. Once you get into the details, you feel bad for having laughed at all. The boy's eyes and mouth were covered with masking tape. And he was left alone for an hour. So it is a terrible case of child abuse.
Ew.
And the prosecutors say that there was actually a sexual motivation to it, but
yeah, that's some kinky shit right there.
Yeah, there's something really rough going on there. And so I teased it as a story about a priest not being molesty, but of course
abusey. He's
abusey, not molesty, but then probably he was like molesty too. But,
look,
but 60 days, I don't know that seems appropriate to me.
60 days seems a little easy, a little lenient.
Yeah, I'm not too happy about that. Let's see.
Brian Stanley. You're telling me a story about a priest actually serving any amount of time?
Oh, that's true.
So I'm kind of happy just on that front.
Yeah.
Most of them just get a walk away clean.
Yeah, he's getting in some trouble. Brian Stanley's his name. Attorney General released a statement that says that he took advantage of a vulnerable victim, and today he's being held accountable.
You could say.
For too long, criminal behavior by members of the clergy has gone unchecked, and that must stop. And then the Diocese of Kalamazoo also released a statement that says that they are continuing to pray for all survivor victims as well as those impacted by this situation.
Oh, yeah, I thought for sure you were going to say they continue to pray for the priest. I thought for sure you were going to say that.
No.
Can I just say
it's just the empty and hollow. We're praying for it.
I just want to say that, because if they say anything else, they might actually be liable and actually have to pay money.
Yeah.
Can I just say there is a case to be made that by wrapping him in bubble tape, he was protecting him. That's the safest that kid has ever
been. For shipping.
You could literally hit him with a baseball bat and he'd probably you put enough bubble wrap on the kid and he's fine.
I know. It's just like
Why?
you want it to be a positive.
Why?
Right?
Why bubble
Like,
wrap?
You
When does that occur to you? At what point
don't
do you
know.
go, I know the solution to this? This kid's a little unruly. I think I've got this.
Well, you can hear him if he's escaping.
Oh, Lordy Jesus. It's
cool. not good.
Jesus, come and take away your followers. We need you to clean up after yourself. This is it's a mess down here.
Oh, no kidding.
Speaking of the followers of Jeebus,
Hmm?
yeah, Frank, it's a sad day for this show.
Why?
It is a rough day for TGIA.
No, what happened, Dan?
A hallmark of our program, a stalwart voice in our landscape
Oh no.
is being silenced, or at least
What?
a little bit more quiet.
Censored?
Not censored. No. Pat Robertson is retiring, kids.
Oh no.
That's right.
What are we gonna do?
The 100-year-old Pat Robertson. He's 91.
Oh, he is. Yeah, he's an old man.
He is an old man.
He's made it pretty far.
He looks like a puppet at this point. He has gotten so old that he has devolved into no longer looking like a real human and now just looks like maybe whoever Frank Oz, when he was working on Yoda, took a break and made Pat Robertson.
What's amazing because he held up pretty well for a long time. There is something about hitting a certain age
Yeah.
where age just knocks you over the head.
Oh my
clearly,
God.
because like he was functioning, and then now he's just slumped into his suit. And he's kind of.
Let us remember Pat Robertson for a few of the things that he was notable for.
Yeah.
This is a guy who he said things like, you remember his quote about feminism, which of course
I bet it's a doozy.
encouraged women to, quote, leave their husbands, kill their children, practice witchcraft, destroy capitalism, and become lesbians.
That's basically what I learned in college.
I mean,
In my gender studies class.
I would say that other than kill their children, which I'm sure he's referring to abortion. But I've seen feminism lead to all of those things. It's always been positive, but he basically at one point he called for the assassination of Hugo Chavez. That's interesting. You'll recall that he said that towels might carry AIDS.
Good Lord.
He's the one that also said that gay guys wear rings. Remember? Wasn't he the one that said that have like little needles on them, and if you shake their hand, they infect you with AIDS?
Yeah, I remember something like that.
He said that.
He said really awful things.
Yeah, he said that that mass shootings were blamed on godlessness and liberals. He said that he actually was talking to, this is a good one. He was talking to Jerry Falwell after September 11th, and they both agreed that the real, maybe some Osama bin Laden following Muslims may have carried out the attacks, but the real responsibility lay at the feet of pagans, abortionists, feminists, gays, and lesbians.
Obviously.
Doy. When you hear it, you go, oh, that's obvious.
Right.
That's the case. He said that when the city of Orlando flew rainbow flags for gay days at Disney World, he said, quote, "This is not a message of hate." So that's a good start. It wasn't a hate message. I'm glad that it's not that. He said this is a message of redemption, but a condition like this will bring about the destruction of your nation. It'll bring about terrorist bombs. It'll bring earthquakes, tornadoes, and possibly a meteor.
A message of love. A statement of love.
It was not, well, it wasn't hate.
It wasn't hate.
It was not hate. It was meteors. And then he would turn around and say the shit like he said, like when one of his listeners, you remember this, when one of his listeners wrote in and said, why does the Bible Belt get hit by all the tornadoes? Why are all the good Christians getting hit by all the tornadoes? Is God sending them? And he was like, no. This is just a weather phenomenon, and went on to explain how tornadoes work with precise detail.
So he clearly understands how they work when it's Christians getting hit.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Right. But when it's other people he doesn't like.
When it's New Orleans, then it's the gays. Then it's the gays.
Like all the magical thinking starts up.
Yeah.
Immediately if it's a group he doesn't
Do you remember that he ran for president?
That rings a bell. Yeah.
He ran for president, didn't come close.
Got a couple percentage points.
But came in third in the Iowa primary. I mean, he was running against
caucus,
Daddy Bush, H.W. Bush.
Right. That was never going to work.
So that was never going to work. Anyway, he has been a constant delight to me since we started this show.
I mean, only in the way that a hateful old man could possibly be a delight.
Yeah, but like
because he's inconsistent,
crazy hateful, like he's just a ranting lunatic who happens to like. He did his show for like 54 years.
I know. Yeah. Could you imagine? I mean, we're well on our way.
He is going to come back. He says he is going to come back to, right? In podcast years, we've been doing our show way longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, he is going to come back, I think, monthly to do Q&A stuff. So we may get some more choice stuff.
Oh, so he's not completely gone.
He's not completely gone. His son is taking over. That's never a good sign.
His probably 70-something-year-old son.
Right? Oh my gosh. Yeah. Mm. So we'll see. Maybe the apple won't fall far from the tree, and old Gordon or whatever. I think his name's Gordon. I don't remember what his name is. He's going to take over, and maybe he'll give us some choice moments. Because one thing we have learned from Jerry Falwell Jr. Et al. Sons can be exciting. Sons of millionaire priests.
Yeah.
Millionaire pastors.
All they have to do is, I mean, like, if their dads were kind of probably faking it for the money, right?
Right.
Believe in a lot of the horse shit, but let's face it, a lot of it, they're twisting it for the money.
Yeah.
But we're good at it. And when the son comes along, he probably just doesn't have the chops.
All he's seen. Oh,
and it's just, he's there strictly for the dollars at that point. Whereas maybe there definitely were some hateful bones in Pat Robertson, but there were probably also believing bones as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay.
He was making money off the deal, but he also.
Yeah. Gordon Robertson is 63 years old and the CEO of the Christian Broadcasting Network. We'll see how this goes.
Not well.
It's not going to go well. It's not going to go well.
Oh, well, all right.
If you guys have anything, if you've got the dirt on Gordon Perry Robertson, please feel free to write it into us or anything else. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. We actually have a voicemail coming right up.
Well, Frank.
Dan.
We have talked about the prophet, Kat Kerr.
Oh, yeah.
A number of times.
Yeah.
She's
fantastic.
She's a perennial favorite.
The best thing about her is
her accuracy.
Accurate with all prophets.
Well,
really.
Here's the thing.
You have to know it should be a number that they're actually judged by.
Well, Kat Kerr is a special one because a lot of her quote unquote prophecy is actually just shit she made up about what heaven looks like. She's been there many times. You'll recall Kat Kerr is she of the volcanoes can explode and you can ride them as water slides.
Oh, in heaven.
In heaven.
Yeah.
Heaven's a fun joint in Kat Kerr's crazy pink-haired mind. So Kat is appearing on, what's his name? Show. Steve Schultz's show. He's the guy that looks like a canned ham in a necktie. And Kat's got some good news.
Oh, yeah.
For mothers who have either lost their children or even aborted them.
Oh.
Let's listen.
Oh.
Someone heard me from Sterling, Illinois. That's where this letter came from. And they had heard me say that you get to raise your babies in heaven, whether aborted or miscarried, babies that don't make it all the way through. If you had an abortion and you repented of that, you get to heaven, you receive Christ, you will get to raise that baby. And the Father showed me that normally they stay as babies because the mother wants them as a baby. They lost that baby, they want that baby. And so it's usually up to the mother what she decides, how she sees that child the whole time. Possibly it's growing, it grows very slowly in heaven, or he just keeps it young. And that's for the purpose of the parents coming to heaven. But I have been to the nurseries in heaven where all these aborted babies are greeted by Jesus. Their little heart is healed for what happened to them. They pray for the people who actually did the abortions or okayed the abortion.
Wow.
They can't wait for their parents to receive Christ so they can come to heaven and raise them from the time they get to heaven and still be a baby given back to you. You won't have to do all-night feedings or diaper changes, amen. But you get to raise that child, see the gift God put in that child. They don't lose their final destiny. Your final destiny is to be the gift he sent you to this earth as. So yes, you do get to raise your children if that is your heart's desire and you miscarried a child or there was an abortion involved and the babies can't wait to see their parents in heaven. So there's nurseries, beautiful nurseries all over heaven where your little babies are taken care of by these angels. That's their assignment. If they're little tiny ones, they'll hold them and rock them in their hand and they'll sing. The breath of God will nourish their little spiritual body. They can already sing, play, laugh. They have an amazing time in heaven. So hopefully that will answer that question.
All I'm getting from this is abort your baby.
This is exactly it. You can repent afterwards.
Yeah.
And then you get as much time. I know many women who don't actually, they have lots of kids because they like babies. I know multiple women who didn't want to actually have a lot of children.
Right.
But they kept stopping being babies. So they just needed another one to come along so that they could have a baby.
And then they need the oldest to bring them grandbabies.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then start the cycle.
Yeah.
Little did they know if they could just prolong their gratification,
delay
it
Yeah.
till the afterlife.
Yeah.
It's all baby all the time, man.
But you got to abort it.
But you got to abort it while you're here.
Which might be really hard if you love babies.
But I mean, when you abort it, it's not even
a
a
baby.
baby.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
just a tiny little thing.
Depends on. I mean, but the babies are getting treated so well in the meantime.
Oh yeah,
taken care of by fucking angels.
Angels in a nursery. Why would you corral the babies in a nursery?
And just
oh my god, it is so fucking weird.
And how fucked is it that the mom just gets to decide if this baby is just baby forever?
Yeah, just baby, just perpetual baby. I don't want this to be an adult ever.
That is cruelty to humans right there.
Yeah.
You as an entity, you just have to serve my needs.
I don't know. I kind of wish I could have stayed a baby. Adulting is stupid. Being an adult, you'll learn stuff about people.
And then when you're a baby, it's just...
Oh, man. Give me baby being cared for by angels forever. That's the life right there.
That's pretty good.
That's a pretty good life, I think.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm going to revise my description of Steve Schultz. I realized who I think he is.
Who?
He's worst dressed Bunsen Honeydew.
Bunsen Honeydew?
That's the Muppet with Beaker. He's the scientist Muppet.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, that's who it is.
Okay.
Anyway, and he does have a melon for a head, so that's good.
All right.
Anyway, hey, we've got a voicemail to play,
do,
which
Dan.
I'm excited about. So let's get right to it. It's a reference to last week's show.
Yeah, to the broken brains that we were talking about.
Yeah, you'll recall, listeners, that last week we talked about how the cognitive dissonance inflicted upon the right wing of this and other countries lately has been extreme, and they're kind of going a wackadoo. So here's a voicemail about it.
Hi, Frank and Dan. I was just listening to your Broken Brains episode. I think my favorite little thing that happened with, people on the right and religious right saying or making excuses for behavior, just like they couldn't fathom what, that something happened that was bad on their account, whatever. The January 6th insurrection, it's just, I saw so many people saying, oh, it's Antifa. Oh, it's the left is actually doing it, but they're framing the right. It's like they can't possibly fathom that their rhetoric and, previous actions led to something so violent and so horrible. That was the first thing that came to mind when you both were talking about the broken brain. Well, thank you for your podcast. I love it. Every Sunday I listen. It's my thing. Have a great day.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a great example. People just not being able to accept that the people who were proudly proclaiming their affiliation the whole time while they committed that act of treason against our country, they that couldn't have been real.
Clearly not. It had to be. Yeah.
It was plants. It was crisis actors.
Yeah. It's just such a. I can't even get my head around.
If there's one thing that our side is good at, it's paying people to pretend like they're their side. That's what our side does the best.
Yeah. It's infuriating.
Yeah.
Actually.
There you go. Well, do we have some folks to thank?
We do indeed, Dan. We have 2 new patrons over there on Patreon.
2.
We have a new priest. By the name of Benjamin.
Benjamin, congratulations on your new priesthood. Please don't do the Catholic thing of priests.
Oh, God, why'd you have to bring that up?
Because I'm thinking about priests.
quite too much. No, these are like Mormon priests.
Yeah.
16-year-olds.
Where you don't get where you get magic powers, you are assured. I assure you, you get magic powers.
Absolutely.
Whatever they are, we can't tell you, but they're there.
They're as real as the real fake.
Just know.
And then we have Betty, who's a new deacon.
Oh, Betty, congratulations on your magic powers. Listen, kids, if you want to get in on this action, and you do, trust me, you do.
Yeah.
All you have to do is go to thankgodimatheist.com and click on the support us tab, and you're there. You just fill out some stuff. You choose the level at which you want to support us.
It's up to you.
We give you magic powers.
Win-win.
It's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
And we have one more person to thank.
As always, Dan, we have our top donor, our Lord and Savior, Damodium!
Woo!
Thank you so much, everybody. Stick around. More show coming up.
Well, Frank,
Yeah.
I don't know if you made it downtown over the weekend.
I did. I took a lovely walk.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, just fantastic. Walked down, got a new case for my my phone, actually.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, just on a little walk of downtown.
Okay.
And what was great this year about that specific weekend,
Uh-huh.
because you haven't actually said it yet, it was Mormon General Conference.
Yeah.
And normally it's just Mormons everywhere.
You would have been mobbed.
Too many Mormons.
Yeah. Which is the title of our new the TGIA book about living in Salt Lake City.
Too many Mormons.
But this year,
Still virtual. the
yeah,
General
yeah,
Conference.
they still didn't have the big in-person thing. So It was peaceful downtown.
I had City Creek Center basically to myself.
You could drive to
It was
anywhere you needed to go.
yeah.
But that doesn't mean that things weren't said by the Mormon leaders, because that's what they do.
Adjacent to where I was.
Yeah, just a block and a half away in the big building, the Meganackle.
Do they actually stage it in there?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. I thought they were still doing it in the.
And this year they had the choir.
They
They
did.
had the choir back.
Boy, that tells you how much I care. Pay attention.
Well, why would you care?
I do not pay attention.
Yeah.
They had the choir
They
there.
had
How
the-
nice.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful?
There was a tear brought to an eye.
Oh, many. But that's easy with Mormons. Mormons are criers. They're weepers. You can make them cry at the drop of a hat. Anywho, I want to focus on a single word that was said by Mormon President Rusty M. Nelson. that I'm not the only one who glommed onto it. Many people caught on to the fact. He said it a number of times. And I'll just sort of read a quote. And then we'll get to the word that I want to focus on. Contrary to the doubts of some, sorry, I should restart. Contrary to the doubts of some, there really is such a thing as right and wrong. I won't read the whole thing like that.
Thank you. Because we could just listen to it and be lulled.
Exactly.
Lulled to sleep
I just inflicted
instead.
PTSD on several of our Mormon listeners. I apologize. I should have said a trigger warning before I did that. There really is absolute truth, Nelson went on to say, eternal truth. One of the plagues of our day is that too few people know where to turn for truth. I can assure you that what you will hear today and tomorrow, meaning during
The
conference,
2-day conference. Yep.
constitutes pure truth.
Oh.
The word pure came up multiple times
Yeah.
in his
Yeah.
talk.
I like
and,
the word pure.
Pure.
That
word, it has some interesting echoes back in Mormon history. For instance, one of the first things that I flash on is one of the grand changes to their never-changing book, the Book of Mormon, which went from saying that the Lamanites, the bad guys here in the Americas, were when they were bad, but then when they became good, after having been cursed with a skin of darkness,
right.
They then, once they became good, became white and delightsome.
Right.
Well, that didn't play well for all of their history. So as somewhere along the line, it got changed to pure and delightsome.
Oh yeah, I mean that's clear that that's what white really was
Yeah, that's what they were saying.
That's what it was.
That's what they meant.
Was pure.
Pure.
Also,
It's not like that erased the fact that they had been cursed with a skin of darkness. That still was there,
right.
or a skin of blackness, or something like that.
Right.
But yes, the whole idea in the Book of Mormon is that the Native Americans are dark because their ancestors were evil. That was.
It's so.
I'm not exaggerating
true.
that at all.
It just hurts to hear it said so succinctly.
But their own book says it exactly that succinctly. It says that they were bad and that they were cursed with a skin of darkness. How the fuck do you interpret? You can't interpret it away.
No, you can't. No, it's just
anyway.
It hurts.
It hurts. It is ugliness at its root.
Yeah.
And by the way, ugliness is how that dark skin is described in the book. It is because they were cursed with the darkness so that they would be ugly in the sight of the good Nephites,
of the righteous, right?
Oh, so that out of the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that that's what pure means in the context of what Rusty Nelson was talking about. Though that history, white supremacy is not lost on me in regard to these people.
Right.
Go ahead and add that layer on as you will. It applies. But I think what he was taught, but it's funny because local religion beat columnist Peggy Fletcher Stack, she covers Mormonism for the local newspaper, for the Salt Lake Tribune.
Right.
She posted on Facebook, "Hey, what do you guys think this means?" And it was very interesting to read a lot of the comments. But I think, after giving it some thought, that it's clear what it means, which is these guys are dealing with a church that traditionally, through their entire 96 years of life, was an entirely top-down, dictatorial, what we say goes church. There was no fudging on that.
No, you couldn't. No. You followed the prophet.
That's a song.
Yeah.
You sing the song, follow the prophet, we will kill you if you don't follow. That's not.
That's the rarely sung fourth verse.
Fourth verse, yeah.
However, the prophet's word was, you couldn't disagree with it. Not openly.
No, that was the end of the discussion.
Yeah.
The prophet says it. We all do it. That's the end of the discussion. Well, guess what? He has lost that power.
Yeah.
And it is shocking. We've talked about this ad nauseum since Mormons started, like conservative Mormons started not following the prophet.
Yeah.
And it started, it coincided with the Trump thing because that's their real religion is Trumpism and QAnonism and all of that stuff.
Well, and there was a Washington Post article, I think it was Washington Post, that had the article a couple weeks ago that highlighted a liberal Mormon congregation in Berkeley.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, wait a second. And it was just clear that this congregation is welcoming to people who are different, to the LGBTQ and immigrant communities, and all the Mormons tend to be okay with immigrant communities, but just kind of holy fuck, that's not a side of Mormonism in any kind of organized, or it's definitely not fully established, but it's not official, right? Because they're a functioning ward of that very conservative religion. Right. But just the thought that there's multiple wings.
Yeah.
That are
in
motion.
The right wing is ignoring him. That's shocking. Yeah. The left wing has for a long time been fighting the brethren on the obvious issues, on LGBTQ, on women's rights, all of this stuff for a while. Right. So the left wing we already knew was pushing back, and that's a small fringe, whatever. Yeah. But for the right wing to then also be cracking away, this is a man who thought when he got to the top he was going to have that ultimate authority, and now he turns around and he can't even get people to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
He can't, he is facing the least amount of power that any Mormon president has ever had among their congregation.
And I'm sorry, he has to be, to a certain extent, resentful of the fact that I'm not picking up on an outpouring of love for him.
No.
In the way that Hinckley enjoyed.
Oh, no.
Or a number of his predecessors of recent memory. Just the Mormon population loved Hinckley. He was beloved.
Yeah.
And then you get this guy. Well, and they really liked Monson.
Yeah.
Maybe not the way that they loved Hinckley.
Right.
Right. And then you get this guy, and they're just they're not even giving him Monson's attention.
And look, Monson was a hideous person, just an awful human,
an obvious liar for one.
And they still worked really hard to love that guy.
Mm-hmm.
They are done with that work. This guy, and Russell Nelson does look like the grumpy that ventriloquist puppet that what's his name that's not funny does.
Well, he also has a Mr. Burns quality as
He has a Burnsian, a very Burnsian. If he would steeple fingers,
it would be amazing.
he needed to have a first counselor named Smithers. That would solidify it. But yeah, he's getting no play from these people. So there you go. He's feeling it, and he is putting his stake in the sand. And saying, no, we have pure truth.
Pure truth.
Pure truth. Right here. Stop looking around. Don't look at your MSNBC or your Fox News
Right.
for pure truth.
Right.
Definitely not OAN. Come to me. Look at me. I'm your guy.
Oh,
Ugh.
the unraveling.
It's
amazing.
Yeah. And I guess what this shows to me is that they're feeling it.
Mhm.
Like the Downtown Boys, this isn't just us talking about this. They're feeling it hard.
And it's going to become obvious at a certain point that they're going to have to pick a side, right? It's not the Mormons, your run-a-day Mormons, right?
Mm-mm.
It's who are going to have to pick which side they're on. They've already chosen what side they're on,
Yeah.
right? It's them. It's the church leadership. They're going to have to choose: are they a conservative church or are they a liberal church?
They're going to choose conservative. Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
Their next prophet's Dallin H. Oaks. They're going conservative.
yeah. But guess what?
But they're not conservative enough.
They're going. But that's what I'm saying. They're going to have to go for it. In order to keep something, they can't keep trying to play this both sides, and they're not going to be able to like get the two sides to come back to the center.
You don't understand. They're aiming for that warm, squishy middle.
I know. They're not.
No, they're aiming. Sorry, they're aiming incredibly far right of the middle
of the political middle,
the broader middle,
landscape.
But that's the Mormon middle,
right? The Mormon middle, which is basic republic, like old timey, like Republican,
right? Yeah.
Not.
We're talking Reagan Republicans.
Yeah,
which
they
never
were.
thought I never thought I was yearn for the days of the Reagan Republicans, but here we are. Well, kids, if you would like to tell us about how your church has a warm, squishy middle, please feel free to do so by writing into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click the like button.
And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, we've got 2 of them. You can go to thankgodimatheist.com/members only. And there's a link there to go to the Facebook group if that's your thing. Or there's one for Discord.
Thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.